Have you ever had a hard situation with your friends where you need to talk to them about something but don't quite know how to do it? Well, if you have, then this is the video for you. So continue watching to see some good tips and tricks on how to have a good, successful conversation with your friends. Welcome to my channel called Relatable Recipient. Here I will be making adulting videos in order to encourage and inspire you guys. If you like this idea, please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for this video on how to have those hard conversations with your friends. As you get older, sometimes the conversations that you have to have with your friends get more serious and intense. And sometimes we don't quite know how to handle those intense conversations. And oftentimes, they kind of go south based on how we handle them, whether you're the person starting the conversation or the person receiving the conversation. So I decided to make a video to hopefully help you guys with this problem by giving you a few simple tips to follow in order to have a good, successful conversation with your friends. Okay, so let's start with the tips for the person who's initiating the conversation with your friend. Now, maybe your friend did something to you that was hurtful or said something that maybe wasn't the nicest, and you feel like you need to confront them about it. But you're not quite sure how to do that without hurting their feelings and causing a big problem. Well, here are 8 simple tips for you to follow in order to have a good, successful conversation with your friend. Tip number 1, wait until you are calm to discuss the problem with your friend. Now, this may seem pretty simple and obvious, but trust me, there are lots of people who have had conversations in the heat of the moment and really regretted what they said later. So make sure that you're nice and calm and collected before you start this conversation with your friend. Tip number 2, find the root of the problem. Sometimes when we get irritated about something, it seems like everything is really just awful and hurtful, and it's just like a whole emotional mess. When you're having a conversation to address something with a friend, you need to figure out what the actual problem is, not what the superficial problems are. So once you find that, then you can move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is to set up a specific time to talk to your friend. Don't just do it casually as you're going about your day-to-day activities when you might see each other. Actually set aside time to discuss this important issue. Step number 4, do not talk to them over the phone, by text, or any sort of messaging. Written communication does not work to solve conflict. You need to actually have a face-to-face conversation with your friend. There's so many things that can get misrepresented and mistranslated by the part of the receiver, being your friend, which can really cause a lot of problems down the road. I have had several friends who have addressed problems with me over text, and it never goes as well as if they just talk to me in person. While yes, it's a little scarier to talk to the friend in person, it makes sure to get the message across clearly so that you actually have good results that are long-lasting instead of a bunch of miscommunication. Step number 5, explain the problem to your friend. Use the facts, explain why it bothered you, and then ask them what their perspective was on the issue in question. This shows that you've put thought into what the problem is with your friend and that you also want to know what their perspective is so that you can actually come to a reasonable conclusion and not just accusing them of something. Step number 6, listen to them. And I mean actually listen to them. This one is easier said than done. Oftentimes we like to just sit and hear people talk, but we don't actually let it process through our mind. So actually listen to what they have to say and be patient with them as they explain their side of the story. Step number 7. This one kind of goes along with number 6 and is to be open to their point of view. Obviously, you and your friend are 2 different people and you're going to have different perspectives of the same situation. So listen to what their perspective was. Maybe how you perceive their actions was completely different than how they intended them to be seen or interpreted. Maybe their actions were completely different than how you interpreted them, and that could just be the root of this problem altogether. So definitely be open to the perspective of your friend. And finally, the last step is to affirm your friend at the end. Affirm that they are a good friend and that you love them and that this is just something that you wanted to address so that your friendship can be healthier and better. And make sure to end the conversation with an agreement of how this problem is not going to repeat itself. All right, now let's examine the other side of this situation. Say you're the person who actually may have done something to your friend that was hurtful. You may realize it, you may not, but now you get to be on the receiving end of this conflict resolution conversation. What is the first step? Step number 1 is to not jump to the worst conclusion. If you're anything like me, someone says they want to talk with you, you're going to have a million thoughts rolling through your head about what on earth could possibly be going down with this conversation. And most of them aren't pretty. So take a deep breath, calm down. I'm sure it's probably not going to be as bad as you think it is, and just wait until you actually know what they're going to say before you freak out. Step number 2 is to actually agree to speak with your friend. Sometimes you just really don't want to, discuss whatever a problem might be, but that's really not going to fix anything. So you actually need to agree to speak with your friend, regardless of whether or not you really want to. Step number 3 is to listen to your friend. Now, like I said before, this is way easier said than done. In order to listen, you actually have to let what your friend says process through your mind. You can't just, have an ear open and listen to them go blah, 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 blah. That's not going to do anything. You actually have to let it process and really take in what they're saying. Step number 4 is for you to express your perspective with this issue. You want to do it calmly and respectfully, but also truthfully explain what you really meant when you were doing whatever it was that frustrated your friend, so that they can hear your honest side of the story, and so you can come to a quick and simple resolution. Step number 5 is to apologize for hurting your friend. Regardless of whether or not you meant to, your friend was still hurt, so that's something you should apologize for, just in order to maintain some good peace and understanding in the friendship. It never hurts, and then it makes your friend feel like they're being heard and respected. Step number 6 is to ask time to process the information that your friend is talking to you about. Now, this is an optional step. You might know how to respond to this issue that your friend is bringing up right away, or you may not. And if you don't, it's better to take time to think through what you actually want to say than to just say whatever pops into your head. Make sure that your response to your friend is thoughtful and honest. And if you need a little bit of time to do that, just tell your friend and then resume the conversation when you're ready to talk. Step number 7 is to be open to the perspective of your friend. Now, hopefully they'll also be open to your perspective, but you need to really take into account what it is they're saying and their perspective of the situation. And finally, step number 8 is to thank them for bringing this to your attention. It's not easy for someone to tell a friend that they did something that was hurtful. It's really brave of them to have brought that up to you and trusted in your friendship enough to be able to resolve something. So be sure to thank them and do your best never to repeat the offense again. Yes, we're all human and you may do it again, but do your best not to. Really take to heart what your friend has to say so that you both can have a good and prosperous friendship. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like, comment down below on an experience you had with a friend and how you resolved that conflict with them. And also let me know if any of these tips were helpful or if you have any more tips to add. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.